when I found out about Luigi, I cried about the death because that was a horrifying murder. But also Luigi could have had like a very good, decent life, and he threw it away in this crazy, awful murder. And like this kid was spiraling out. You could see he was going in a bad direction.
Well, and the issue with
suffering. His mother.
The issue with Mangione is nobody in this country remembers the name, or most people don't remember the name of the guy who was killed, but do remember the name of the assassin.
Oh yeah, Mr. Milquetoast Brian Thompson.
Yeah, something like that. If you did a survey of the United States, you would come back with like 4% of people remember that the CEO of United Healthcare. You can't compare the two, and that's the difference. And it's important to remember that the first 8 amendments were created because of King George's activity, British tyrannical sort of policies, quartering troops in homes and compromising free speech, and they only own guns and we don't. So all of the things that they did during the times that rolled, our colonies, that was such a backlash against it that they put in the first 8 amendments. Especially like, for example, you don't have to speak to the police. You have the right to be silent, and you have the right, and warrants, the whole notion that you just can't.
The British had a perjury entrapment.
It was just nuts. So the Second Amendment was to prevent, a tyrannical government from rising, and the First Amendment was directly related to what the British were doing. So all of those were put into place. And he was just emphasizing that. And maybe not specific enough so that young college students can understand it. I think his discussion went over a lot of people's heads, to be completely honest.
I don't think so. The people that are misquoting him are doing it intentionally. It didn't go over their heads. He was very simple arguments. He would argue with college kids who are at the prime of their intellectual life.
That's what I'm saying.
They were prepped by the professors. I don't think so. I really don't. It's people are purposely misquoting him and feeding quotes to try to justify it. They didn't shoot the fascists. They're trying to call him a fascist to justify a political assassination.
100%.
Let me ask this question then. Well, do we know yet why the individual who killed him?
We don't have an exact manifesto, but we know.
No, but he made a statement to his.
We know the stuff he was being fed.
Girlfriend thing.
Yeah, hold on.
Yeah, we know the information was being fed.
Those
We know that he was told.
Bogus.
Those texts are after the fact that are probably bogus.
Yeah.
Right, but he gave a reason.
And it looks like he also put these messages. I mean, to me, they sound the messages he wrote after Charlie's killing. They sound almost like he's trying to release blame, from his Discord group.
They read like he is trying to make
a lot of people identify
his roommate.
You have to look at the one-on-one. I'm pulling it up. The one-on-one text with his romantic partner.
Yes, I know what you're talking about. They are bogus.
Yeah, they are.
Well, one second. Define
The
bogus.
good thing is that he's alive.
Wait, why are they bogus?
I don't think they're suspect at all. I think they're all legit.
Talking.
One second. No,
That does not sound like a 22-year-old who lives their life on Discord and follows culture. He also misspelled like something that was on a bullet.
Dude, they come in all shapes and sizes.
I'm fully aware of that, but just the way in which he constructed his messages, and the way that the roommate person was responding, it just seems like somebody made these and put them out.
Okay, and who would that be?
I don't know.
Of course. The Jews.
I would assume that it's somebody that wants to push a narrative, but I am suspicious.
Who would have the means and the motive to fabricate
Are you
these
kidding?
texts?
Who
would
make it? Who? Jews!
Okay, so hold on. So here's 2 portions of it. Sorry, I lost it. I had the opportunity to take out Charlie Kirk, and I'm going to take it. And then the roommate said, why? Why did I do it? Yeah, I had enough of his hatred. Some hate can't be negotiated out. If I am able to grab my rifle unseen, I have left no evidence. So he's saying that there's a level of hatred that is excessive, and he has the capability of silencing it, and he's going to do it.
I'm just suspicious of the fact that
I mean,
that's
close to a
admitting to
damning
the murder.
confession.
Yeah.
It is.
This is
confessed
what's suspicious to me, right? That this person had a text conversation while fleeing law enforcement where they admitted the murder, talked about their clothing, talked about the gun, talked about where they hid it, talked about how it was wrapped in a towel, talked about the engravings on the bullets. Like, the fact that these text messages apparently incriminate him for all of those things, I just find it suspicious. Like,
He did
I
it
don't
for the
see
brand.
many people that are like, hey, let me text somebody all of this information.
Oh, you mean like millennials?
Let me ask you, how many Gen Z assassins do you know and their texting habits? Just curious.
I'm just saying in general, Gen Z, like, I have a Gen Z sister, and
Is she a murderer?
I'm aware of how
But you do know when
Is she
people,
toxic online?
Maybe he's just weird, guys.
But
when people do things like this, they have a euphoria and they don't actually think properly as well as the adrenaline.
Really?
So
You know what it
can't
feels
really
like to
say
be running
within
from a manhunt?
Exactly.
But he reached a point where he had some downtime. The police were not literally knocking at his door. He was at a place where he felt comfortable. The only other
He played some
explanation
video games and chatted on
This
Discord.
is the definition of armchair psychology. I just want you all to know that.
definition of what?
Armchair psychology.
Which like,
Armchair
I'm just saying,
psychology.
you either believe he had the time to do it, or someone fabricated it. And I just do not believe someone fabricated. This is his actual thoughts.
Listen, if I found out that somebody like fabricated it and took his phone or something, I would not be surprised. But right now, we have absolutely no evidence of that.
Exactly.
Just based off a feeling
The simplest
that we assume
explanation
murderers
is-
would act differently.
Look, can I say something quickly? Because like I was raised in the Mormon church, and apparently this kid was Mormon. Right?
Cool.
Oh God. The way, yeah, no, it was a cult. But the way that it was described, that he was taken to the bishop first, then allowed himself to be turned in, is on point with that culture.
But he wasn't taken to the bishop first. What happened was, and you can tell me this on point with the culture, the father called a pastor friend because he said they're calling for the death penalty. Can I turn my son in to get killed, even though like he deserves to face punishment? And the pastor called the police, and the father restrained his son until the police came. So it wasn't like, again, you could tell me how the Mormon Church works, but that's how the story.
Yeah, no, that is, he would have called the pastor in terms of, because they kind of work as a hive mind to the extreme. So, like, yeah, that's how that would have gone down for sure.
Now, another thing we have to have in mind, and is that Kash Patel was also talking about it, is that they are slow right now releasing information because first they need to gather it legally, right? Because if they just seize things and just like start like doing it chaotically, then they might not use these things in court in order to condemn him. So they're all gathering all these things through the right process, because otherwise it will not be valid and it will not hold.
Well, they've done, as far as I understand, they've done everything through search warrants approved by judges.
Yeah, but that's my
didn't
point.
get
But
it.
all of these take some process, and actually they're doing everything like super quickly, in my opinion. Like I'm not
They also-
assassinations, but like just looking at what happened with Trump, a year ago, and we don't know anything. I mean, this is pretty.
No, they also
flowing on
cross
top of that.
question means they're gonna find someone who they think may be accomplice and see what they know and see if they reveal information that they shouldn't know. The more you put into the public sphere, the more you poison that field, and people come into
Yes.
tracks differently. I mean, I think Kash Patel is too open most of the time, but like this, there's no reason we should know this information now. Now, 2 months from now, we still don't know things. I'll change my tune.
Agreed.
I think we want a more transparent government, and I think they're doing a great job doing that.
week of knowing Charlie
You
Kirk
telephone
through.
joking. Our CIA director was being very open. Like, it's just representative of all the people who want things to be more open and out there and clear.
Who is this fire?
I literally it was a serious question, so don't.
And I answered it.
Okay,
Like, very
it
obvious.
sounded like you were incredulous of my question.
No, for the love of fuck. Oh my god, bro. Jesus.
That's uncalled for.
It's uncalled for. Where you just,
Yeah.
I say my honest opinion, and then you say I'm bullshitting you, and it's like it's like a Republican can never say how they
We
feel
are
about
not
something
gonna
saying.
make this room about Jacob. I don't even know who you are. Anyway, Marvin, 1 week of knowing Charlie Kirk through X posts and news, I think it's too little. I think that you should go and listen to his interviews and what he did, and you might actually end up liking him. He was the most moderate right-winger that you could have ever known.
That's exactly what I was going to say. Is that like Charlie Kirk is the moderate position. Like he's the most milk toast of the conservatives.
Like for example, you have others, right? Like you have Matt Walsh is a great. It's like Matt Walsh. I agree with him with what he says, but he doesn't have that patience. You know,
I think
he
he's
is very
dangerous.
politically incorrect. He's angry.
I think he's dangerous. It's not the words that he says or the ideas he says. It's the tone and tenure and the instigation.
Yeah.
He's dangerous.
He is an instigator.
Yeah, he's instigating. Everything he does is with the attitude. He also has like a humorous depression, which I think is the opposite. I think he's depressed and he tries to make a humor out of it. But when you give this like we're under attack message, and he's doing the same thing I'm criticizing the left is doing on the right. He's doing this like we're under attack, they're all evil. I'm not saying to kill them, I'm just saying they kind of deserve to die. It's dangerous.
Yeah, no, I do agree with Matt Walsh, probably 90% of the things that he says, but I do believe that his personality, his demeanor is definitely provocative, you know, and instigating. So it's not what Charlie wants.
What about the
Does he go on to campuses? I don't think he does. I think he only has his podcast. Does he join YAF and go on to campuses? Do you know?
Who?
Matt Walsh.
No.
It's only Ben Shapiro and Michael Knowles from Daily Wire do that, correct?
No, well, actually, I think that Matt Walsh has also done some of these stuff.
Yeah,
But I mean, he
keep them off
focuses on
college
his
campuses.
podcast. Yeah, he focuses on his movies and his podcast.
His documentary.
He doesn't like people. Yeah, he doesn't like people. I mean, he's not a person, a people's person.
Does Cleveland ever go on to campuses? Because he likes people.
I think he does. At least he does go to like these type of conferences, to interviews and discussions and stuff. Yeah. And the boring guy, that he used to go as well. Not as much, but he did.
He's pretty talented. You know that when they started Daily Wire, the original plan was Ben Shapiro as a lawyer was going to be like the business behind it, and Jeremy Boring, who's a country singer, was going to be the talent, and then they traded places.
Can I just pivot or ask just a question? What are the thoughts? I'm really quite happy that the Free Press is the editor of the Free Press may be some sort of content moderator or guide for CBS. Have you any impressions of that, guys? Or no?
I mean, it's quite a career arc to get to storm out of the New York Times and then get your company bought for $150 million.
Yeah, it's very impressive.
Yeah.
I think she must be like Google eyes. I do really agree with a lot of her positions.
No, she's a good editor. She puts together
Who's Breaking History? I like him too. And Noah something. You ever listen to Breaking History?
Yeah, I just can't remember his name. That's
But I like him too. He's
yeah, he's I have yet to see one link in the chat from anyone in this room or in any other room to prove that Charlie Kirk is a racist. Go ahead, put your receipts in the chat, especially you, Caleb.
I can't convince a racist that somebody else is racist because they don't see the racism behind what they're saying.
That's the opposite
So I'm
of
not
what's true.
going to argue with you.
Did you hear what I said?
Reality.
Racist
Racist is racist.
Yeah.
That's the opposite of reality.
Exactly.
Racists will find racist immediately.
No, that's the thing. Like, there have been so many people where it's like, here's what he said. Oh, that wasn't racist. Cool, got it. You're not gonna get it.
Well, okay, so Chris said, I don't know if you know that right, but I said that there was one thing actually I did not agree with Charlie Kirk, and is that he didn't believe in the concept of race. He said that race was a social construct, and I disagree with that. And Charlie Kirk would go around and talk about that.
Why do you disagree with that, Isa?
Do you think
She's allowed to be more racist than he was.
Do you think that a racist person disagrees with the concept of race and thinks that race is a social construct? Do you think that's something that a racist would say?
Yes, I think that it's also like.
Oh, okay.
I don't see
You're
color.
retarded.
I
I'm sorry.
see
You're
a
retarded.
human.
I'm convinced now.
Okay, I love this. I love this witch test that we're gonna throw you in the river, and then if you drown, you aren't a witch. Like I'm gonna tell you Charlie Kirk is a racist. If you call him a racist, then you're on my team, and if you say he's not, that's because you're also a racist and you just can't see it.
At least now we found the litmus test to identify the two.
I think we
groups we're
definitely
dealing with
just
here.
disagree on what is racist.
Just go ahead and post a fucking link in the chat. Anybody, and prove that Charlie Kirk is a racist.
For you, racist is someone you call a racist. It doesn't matter what the concept is. It just matters your opinion.
Yeah, but let's.
I know. Let me just say this real quick, if I may, please. Thank you. I know I'm risking, public ridicule by saying this, but the only reason you would support Charlie Kirk, the only reason you would support Charlie Kirk in that type of rhetoric, from what I've heard, because I didn't know about him until the fourth.
There we go.
I saw DEI and the things that he said about black people during Jim Crow era. I just take it that if somebody was to spew that type of rhetoric.
What did he say about black people during the Jim Crow era, Concrete? Post the link.
If you were to support type of rhetoric, I just take it that you have no appreciation for the damage that type of rhetoric does, because it's creating.
What kind of rhetoric specifically? Let's actually hear what the man said.
Well,
Let
wait a second.
me just finish. Hold on, let me finish. Put your interruption. Notice how you let it happen, but then you want to cut me off. But the whole
This is
point
the
is.
reason why I don't believe in race being
Let me just finish my point, please.
He's proving
I take it that as a non-black person, you don't have the appreciation for what that damage does to you when you have done everything that you're supposed to do as a normal citizen. You've gotten into areas that people don't get into. Regular are just dismissed as being unqualified, even though you're in the position. And that's the pernicious psychological effect that's created by the promulgation of this type of rhetoric, right? It's something that people don't even think about anymore. It becomes a conditioning just to look at an accomplished black person as undeserving. And so now you as a black person have to traverse the corporate environment, the work environment, just as with a scarlet letter, right? And I just wonder if anybody else would appreciate that, being in those same conditions. I know you wouldn't, right?
This guy's asphalt at best.
But Concrete, you do realize that is a direct consequence of the policy that has been implemented by the liberals. That's why.
You actually made You actually just made Charlie Kirk's argument. He was against DEI precisely because when you're filtering for giving someone an opportunity is based on the color of the skin, then when you start seeing people in other places that with a different color of skin, then you start doubting their capability of actually doing that job. You actually just made his argument. So that is the rhetoric that he was saying. He's saying that DEI is hurtful to the people that they claim they want to help. Because then when you see a black person or a woman or whatever in a position of influence, then you're doubting whether they were given the position because they had they were competent, or they just did them the favor. They were charity.
No, I hear what you're saying.
And that's the reason was against DEI.
I understand what you're saying, and that would be a position held due to ignorance, right? And what he did was, even if he were to make that argument, he simultaneously promoted ignorance regarding the policy, right? Because it's not about, look here, I'll illustrate a point for you. If a corporation decided to, for whatever reason, large or small, because don't think it's impossible on a small scale.
Love those girls.
One second. A corporation, if it decided to, could exclude all minorities and all women if it decided to. You think 100, let's say an engineering corporation where, men predominantly, are in the engineering field, and they just decide everybody's a male. The receptionist, the sales department, research and development, operations, everybody's a male. Do you think that is possible or not?
Not in a capitalistic society.
No. Is it possible or not? Okay, good.
It's possible, but it would never happen.
Okay, great. Is it plausible
No.
if there were no rules in place, if there was no stigmatization of doing such things? Is it plausible to occur? The answer would be yes.
No.
It is most
You asked
definitely. It is. Yeah, I know. I know the answer to the question.
Wait, get that
You trying to be around me? You want to fight? I just want to have a conversation.
You asked the question.
But I didn't ask you, but you're dishonest.
It's completely, and you're stupid.
Ask the room, and I asked in good faith, right?
Oh my God,
Right.
Rick, you
And
asked
the
the question.
response is,
I know, I'm not smart. You're right.
the response
What am I
is,
supposed to
it's
do?
a
Can we have a conversation though?
I don't know. Could you stop interrupting? You asked the question as a
You interrupted me. What's going on? Why are you playing victim? You interrupted me.
You asked a question, and then you said, "Can we have a conversation?" So let's see. I don't know. I think you're too stupid for conversation. Prove me wrong.
But I am too stupid. So don't engage with me. I'm stupid. Don't engage with me.
You asked, is it
60
plausible?
seconds for
No, it's
Toira?
implausible. Because a company that wants to hire the best employees, because that's what companies want to do, they want to make the most amount of money, would hire the best employees. Now, if you want to know, in a Jim Crow era, which, by the way, there was a reason why Jim Crow had to be put into law, because the people, the racists of the South, would never have stood for it if it wasn't legalized and canonized and put into law. Because why would I not sell my baked goods to someone willing to buy and put up an 8-foot wall without a law? It would never happen in America. But regardless of what
do you think
Jim
that
Crow...
races don't exist today?
No, I was about to get there. Is it possible that there would be a racist CEO that believes black people are incapable of X and therefore not hire them? That is plausible. But would a total company have a blackout and say, no matter how qualified you are, we're not going to hire you? That only happens when Jim Crow gets legislation passed with racist laws.
Yeah, I don't know what nonsense that was. So anybody else who wants to operate, I told you I was dumb. Anyway, so the whole point is that without DEI and without these policies, it's most definitely the case that there would be corporations that existed that didn't operate purely on rational decisions, right? We all understand that human beings make decisions for a myriad of reasons. Some of them not wholly rational, right? So the idea that somebody would try to paint this picture that such a thing would not materialize it's just silly on its face, right?
Okay.
We know
Okay.
that such a world would exist if there weren't policies put in place, right?
So
It
you don't
wouldn't
think-
be
Show me a world
Yeah.
where that exists, where policies
Can,
are not
can I
put in place.
address what Concrete is saying?
Hold on.
Yeah, Alice, give me 1 second. One sentence. What would happen in that world is racist CEO number one would get an inferior company because they're not hiring the best employees. Unracist CEO number two would win that game, and the marketplace would pick the company that has the better employees. So are there racists out there? Yes. Would they win in the long run? Absolutely not. Which is exactly why Jim Crow had to codify it in law, because he knew that the South will not stay racist without laws. And that is why DEI is Democrats trying to buy your vote, and foolish idiots are keeping them in power, because after endorsing slavery and fighting the civil rights, they could not manage to keep you down further.
Imagine an NBA team owner who decided that he hates black people and he's going to staff his organization with only white guys. They would get destroyed every night on the court. You know what I mean?
That's exactly my point.
Yeah, that's
Concrete,
not
would you
even
agree
that doesn't defeat
No,
the
no,
point
but if-
that there's a scenario that exists that wouldn't be advantageous
Concrete, if you want
or
to be consistent,
or less probable, right?
if you want
Doesn't
to be
defeat the
consistent,
argument.
Concrete, you've been speaking uninterrupted for like 10 minutes.
Yeah,
and then
that's not true at all. But go ahead,
no, okay,
brother.
but-
Go ahead,
yeah,
go,
so,
bro.
so then, would you join me in suing the NBA because it's a majority black organization?
All right,
It's only
so
black
this is
people that
called
play.
whataboutism, and
No,
all
it's
you're
not
doing is
whataboutism.
just changing
No.
the focus of our conversation to
But
something
why are there so
other
many black
than what
people
I'm
in
talking
the NBA
about.
then? Why
Listen,
are there so many there?
Listen, at least what you're talking about is an environment where at least right? Your complaint that there's an environment that's more meritorious than others. I don't know how that helps to support your argument.
Yeah, but I'm saying that
And also
why-
we know that black people only make up about 13% of the population. So the idea that a corporation would
So
suffer
they should have only
having not
13%.
one second. And the idea that a corporation would somehow suffer in performance having not abided by like an even distribution across the population is just silly, right? And I don't know. Look, you guys are all showing your hands in your silliness and fighting against like inclusion, fighting against equity, fighting against diversity. And what you've done is you've turned it into what you've done is you've strawmanned it into it's
Okay, enough.
So many
Why do you want
strawmanned it and you've made it about lower standards, and it's not about lower standards.
I have a question for you. Listen, why do you believe that black people are inferior? Why do you want them to be a charity of the white people? Do you they don't have the capabilities for actually them reading their competence?
Yeah, so the way that the government works is that it is the overarching entity that is required to like make or entrusted or tasked with making the world that is under their domain a better place, right? Those are the functions of a government, right? And so that's why we have a constitution. That's why we have Bill of Rights. That's why we have police powers. That's why we have a legislative body. That's why we have a judicial body, because it's all about fairness, equity, inclusion, so on and so forth, right? Now, what we're realizing is not that blacks are inferior, that humans are inferior.
Okay, so
In terms of moral rectitude and fairness, right? So I'm answering your question.
Okay,
Like, why are you cutting me off?
I am a woman.
It's almost like you really don't want to hear what I have to say, but that's fine.
No, it's almost like you speak too loudly.
It's almost like I keep getting interrupted, and that's why I gotta speak over people.
Stop using the big mic.
She's a moderator.
And she's dishonest.
I'm the most dishonest person you have. So I am a woman from Guatemala. As a woman from Guatemala, being or representing whatever minority you want to attribute me, I can tell you that I refuse to be someone else's charity so that they can use me as a token for inclusion or equity and welcoming me in a company or a group just because of my ethnicity and just because of my gender. That is like, I refuse to be a charity, a case of charity for that purpose. Why do you want to be charity for someone else? Why are you happy to be taking that charity for yourself? I would be pissed off. I am pissed off.
You know what a loaded question is, Issa?
I don't care.
I know you don't. Okay, good. Don't care about loaded questions.
Well, you've been talking a lot.
Do you know what a loaded question is? I take it you don't know what a loaded question is.
All right, you're not
Is that because she's a
there you
woman
go.
from Guatemala?
Go discuss in the chat what a loaded question
Can I ask a
is.
question?
I will not make any effort.
Can I ask a question, please?
Go ahead, Jacob.
Oh, thank you. So, if a group of people kills everybody else more than a different group of people, and I don't like them, does that make me racist?
If you blame the entirety of the group for a minority, then yes.
That was exactly what I was
Well,
But like,
it's
wrong
actually.
to be more scared of that group.
I mean,
It's-
when you say more
Within-
scared, let's put that into context. Meaning, when you talk about they kill more, who do they kill? They kill their own. They kill you. Is it
They kill
4? Okay, so that doesn't matter. 4%. That doesn't matter because if there's a virus that's killing all lefties, whatever the genetic coding it is, and I'm a righty, I have nothing to fear. So the same people is you the point of the question.
I don't think they care who they kill. I think they kill whoever they want to kill. I'm scared.
No, that's not true.
They're killing a lot of people.
But that's not actually true when you read the statistics. Most of the killings are gang violence. No, it's not. It's just not true. Most of the killings are gang violence. Most of the killings are against specific power struggles within the neighborhoods. If you
There's also an important aspect of it is the motivation of your dislike, right? If it's motivated by their actions purely, and you are not judging like some sort of phenotypical difference from like other groups, and you say that is the reason, like you assenting it, saying just because of the size of their ears or the cut of their, it's that.
But there's a bigger problem, Andre. If let's just say 4% of the general population is liable to killing you. It's very liable to kill, and then it's 3 times the amount in a specific community. Now you're up to 12. 12 is a strong minority. If you're judging the entire group on the 12, now if you say I'm going to do background checks, I'm gonna take precaution not to wear the wrong gang colors, that would be logical. But if you're taking a minority and extrapolating to the entire community, that doesn't say there's not a problem. It doesn't say that there's nothing to fix.
No,
that is the definition of racism. Now you want to justify racism, go ahead. But that is the definition of racism.
Yeah, I think that's right. But I mean, I would just add to it that there's essentializing or prioritizing quality of the demographic that has no essential qualities in terms of judging their.
Is it racist to know exactly what group he was talking about? On the count of 3, let's all say which one we all think it is. 1, 2, 3. Men.
Romanians.
Men.
Oh, wait a minute. What?
Thank
Men. Yeah, why is the group predominantly men? Why does all the evidence seem to be sexist and stuff?
Actually, who's speaking? I can't see him. Alex, actually, if you look at the statistics, more black women murdered than white men.
That is true. That is absolutely true, man. But getting back, I actually had an initial question for Princess before.
More black women.
Not by sheer numbers, by percentage of society.
Yeah.
They have the best mental health, by the way, in America.
Yes, because they are unbothered, Jacob. Anyway, getting back to it, Princess, earlier we talked about racism, and I wanted to ask you, whether can we kind of try to establish what you mean when you say racism, because we have there is a textbook definition, right? And then we have the kind of when we talk about racism in the context of American liberal, thought, then it's more like, oh, it's structure. That's what we mean when we say
It's not
racism.
liberal,
Well, how
it's
do you?
leftist, Alex. That's
Leftist.
that's-
Sure. But what do you mean, Princess, when you say racism? And so we can understand it better when we try to discuss it.
It means people she doesn't like.
Yeah, that's what you say, Isa. But I think Princess, hopefully, she can explain it herself.
I think it's judging an entire group of people based on their skin color in a negative way.
Okay.
All right, but what if they're doing?
That's,
Wait, it
that's
has to
like
be
a
negative?
basic, overarching, dumbed down version. I think that there's systematic racism. I think that there is blatant, direct racism.
Do you think other people can be racist besides white people?
Oh, absolutely.
Okay, so then it's not just prejudice, because I hear
And that's not me saying like, oh, I feel like people are racist towards me, but like, I don't know. Like I've also witnessed other races being very racist towards other races. So I don't think it's just black people.
Okay. Huh? Interesting. Well, okay, then we have a little bit of a better understanding.
She gets rewarded for that definition by getting a green bean.
Yeah, get it.
Positive reinforcement, positive reinforcement.
Yeah, I think that the textbook definition of racism is just simply being opposed.
I just want to say, if all you do is talk about racism and racial identity politics every day, and that's all you ever say, you might be a fucking moron!
It's one of the first days.
John,
like
what if
talking
you
about
talked about people talking about racism all the time?
Hey Issa, are you fake news? Because you're so perfect, it's not believable.
Oh wow, I love that one. You see, when I give you a few weeks of rest, not being in clubhouse, your pickup lines become better. I love that one. Sorry, Maya, what were you saying?
John Kitover for Congress.
Do you guys think it's wrong to be racist?
Not necessarily, Jacob. It depends on the
Yeah.
context.
Yeah.
They don't talk about morals here. You have to have concrete things to talk about.
Okay.
We were talking about morals all morning. It's immoral to call someone a fascist if you justify his murder.
I was kidding because yesterday there were people in this room that railed on me because of a moral belief, not a concrete textbook.
No, it was
No,
a moral
doesn't
belief.
have
We were talking
morals.
about capitalism, and you were defending, a social safety net.
Nope, not what I was talking about at all.
Yeah, we were talking about
Being
billionaires.
racist
I
is
remember
immoral.
now. We were
Billionaires.
saying
We were
that
talking about
billionaires shouldn't
billionaires.
exist.
And how I think it's immoral.
Yeah, but you were
Yeah.
attempting against private property of people you don't like, and that is a moral thing.
So hold on. I want to challenge Alex on something. So
Sure.
I'm going to read you the definition of racism. I want you to come up with the scenario where you would morally justify it. Okay?
Yeah.
So racism is a belief, attitude, or practice that one race is inherently, right? So
Racist
without any,
analyzer. She's never wrong.
it's
Anti-racism
like
is
an
a
essential
moral,
quality, right?
extreme.
Superior or inferior to another,
Moral
leading to
fucking
prejudice,
doesn't have
discrimination,
moral.
or
She thinks
antagonism
being
directed to
racist
people
is
based on their
immoral.
race or ethnicity. In which scenario that is an appropriate behavior?
No, that is actually very hard to defend, Andre. But if we try to, because I cannot directly defend that position, Andre. But you could say that, if you live in a community or close to a community of another people that are of the same group, and your previous experience and interactions with that group has been overwhelmingly negative, it is not unreasonable for you to avoid them, right? Yeah.
But that's not racism. That's heuristics. That's heuristics based on the personal data, which is faulty.
It racist though because you're opposed to that group.
No, because you're not doing it based on race, but you're doing it based on observations that might be related to a specific culture. But it doesn't.
It's racism with
No,
extra
it's not
steps.
racist.
It is.
It's not the same.
I've done the math on this. It's antagonism.
Yeah, well, you doing the math or not is
No,
the
it's antagonism. It says it specifically in the definition. Antagonism.
You're neglecting.
And antagonism is opposition.
Yeah, you're neglecting the motivation, number one, and also you try to
Doesn't
massage. Yes,
Just if you're opposed to them, that's racist.
You see, when you're dealing with definitions, there are certain aspects of meaning of the word that are essential and necessary for them, and the motivation.
Scott, I'm
there
wondering
is
if anybody
necessary,
listened to our interview and commented on it.
If you're
since
neglecting this,
so
you're talking
active on
about
the chat.
something completely different. You're talking
I'm
about
just reading the words perfectly and I'm plugging in.
No, you're not. That's what I'm contesting. You're not doing
math
that.
Equation. I'm plugging. Plugging in.
No, you're not doing that.
I know.
Specifically, you're not doing that.
I'm
because
plugging
you're completely neglecting the motivation that defines that specific phenomena, and you're only looking on the outcomes. That is incorrect.
It literally says racism. It says prejudice, discrimination, or antagonism by an individual, community, or institution against a person or people on the basis of their membership in a particular racial or ethnic group. That's what it says.
Yeah, and I also read you a definition. Okay, so the definition that I used.
I am
would you be able to defend?
antagonistic, right?
Okay, let me read it again.
Because of the bad things that they do.
Yeah, let me read it again. So racism is the belief, attitude, or practice that one race is inherently, meaning their essential, their very essence, is superior or inferior to another, leading to prejudice, discrimination, or antagonism directed at people. That's exactly what racism is. I mean,
but that's not
the practice of racism. Well, so then you're trying to be just simply pedantic. You're not trying to describe or understand. I just plugged it into ChatGPT. You're not trying to understand the phenomena. You're just trying to justify your behavior and trying to make the definition fit.
No. Okay.
Cool.
You think that I want to?
If that's your game, then just call it for what it is.
No, dude, I'm literally going off of the tools that I'm given here. I have Google, all right? I'm not using ChatGPT. I'm using Google. I look up the definition because everybody tells me being racist is bad. I want to know what racism is. I look it up. Am I opposed to people? Oh, yeah, I am opposed to some people. Apparently, I'm racist. Do you get what I'm saying? I'm not trying to be this at all.
So
I'm not trying
once
to
again, you're completely brushing off the motivation behind that type of prejudice.
Brain damage,
and you're focusing, and you're saying just because platypus has, beak, it must be a duck because duck also has a beak.
We just have
different. Looks very similar.
So
if that's good enough for you, you're gonna have a very difficult time communicating.
Yeah, the issue is that people are reading different definitions. Like yours said that one group is superior to another or whatever, and mine did not say that at all. So we're coming with two different things, and that's probably the biggest issue in America right now is people are using different definitions for words, and it's controlling how they.
So let's I'm gonna grant you even your definition. Okay, so you took it off the dictionary Oxford language, right?
Yep.
Discrimination or antagonism by individual, community, or institution against a person or people on the basis of their membership in a particular racial or ethnic group. Now, how would you justify?
Should not lead to hateful acts.
How would I justify that it's okay?
How would you justify discrimination, antagonism, or prejudice against the group?
Well, antagonism means simply being opposed to.
No. I'm saying your motivation about antagonism. Just because you look a certain way. No. But that's the whole problem. So the connection between your actions and motivation for those actions based purely on their looks, that is the problem. Because the looks, how you look, the shape of your nose, I don't know, how curly your hair is, does not necessarily justify discriminating people, being prejudiced against them, or antagonizing them.
I don't think anybody cares how we look like our features, but we just know that certain groups of people kill people more than others, and that's why we're scared of them. Okay.
So I don't. The question is
They have
why?
bigger ears or something. I don't.
Yeah, sure, Jacob. Then the next question, important, very important question, is why do you think they kill?
Because of all the stats.
Is it because how they look? No. Is it because how they look or what type of race they are? Is that your answer?
Wait, you're asking me why do they kill?
Yeah, and I'm giving you an option. Do you take this option?
Probably
Yes or no?
because they're like angry or something, right?
Okay, good. So that has nothing to do with their race or ethnicity, right?
Okay.
Because anger and violence is not an essential quality of a skin color or geographic location.
Okay. So why are all these?
So that's not racism. It doesn't fit that definition. That's not racism.
But like, I think I understand what you're trying to say. You're trying to like say that racism is not racism, right?
No, that's not what I'm trying to say. I'm trying to say that as soon as you ask a question why, and you say it has nothing to do with race or ethnicity, it keys to work with trying to sort of grease that.
Oh my God, Issa.
It's not racism because you want to be.
That was a good room.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, it's still a good room to tell you the truth, but you need to I don't know. The problem about giving out the green bean is, see, you guys like Andre will go on and on. I really like less communication people, and also the flare ups are fun, but you do put together great shows. You bring together a great group of people. And it's a wide variety of speakers. But to me, I really want to read books, and I'm like, to listen to this versus reading a book. But there's also a lot of work involved in reading a book.
I know.
But I am in a book club where we read to each other for 10 minutes.
Which one are you reading?
I've been reading so many good books recently.
No. But what you said you are in a book club where you read what? I lost you there.
Yeah, there's one rule in our book club where all we do is read to each other for 10 minutes.
Oh, that's nice. Well, I have been away from Clubhouse for a long time, almost like 2 months, with the exceptional couple of days that I have connected for a couple of hours. And I don't know, yesterday and today we did have a good room. I enjoyed that conversation again.
Yeah.
I miss it sometimes.
Yeah, it's a nice milieu. See, that's the thing is, it is the cornucopia. It is the milieu that is of the highest value. And I think, even though my recordings are really stupid, super low quality, no one will ever want to waste their time recording it. If I had to scale or basically analyze all the rooms I, record, you bring together a good milieu. Really top notch. So what that means is you're an organizer.
I am an organizer. I don't think I am a conversation driver. I like to participate, but not to drive the conversation, but I like to put the people together.
Yeah, it is.
And to be a bossy one. Almost sort of organizing.
You want to hear a funny story? I went to this country club one time in Brentwood to go to this Jewish event, and I meet this other nice young Jewish guy, and he, you know what he says to me? He says, John, this may sound kind of weird, but, dude, you're like a normal human. You're a normal man. I'm like, yeah? I'm like, well, I don't understand. He goes, well, I go to these Jewish events a lot, and I meet, tons of faggots. I was started laughing. I was like, yeah. I was like, I don't know what to tell you. That was when I think.
In Chicago?
No, this was in L.A. I don't know if culture has shifted. It's probably always been an index like this, but even that girl Paradise or whatever her name was in K-Live, everybody has their weird little quirks and issues where it's how is everybody accusing Charlie Kirk of being the devil? It's show me one link. No one's ever posted anything. I've never seen Charlie Kirk say anything that is vulgar, racist, mean, crude, nothing. So it's
Not at all, yeah.
so it's just it's the craziest. So anyways, I think it's all just projection, but honestly, I think people project a lot. Charlie Kirk is that receiver of
And they're just
people's projection.
parrots, They just want to participate in a conversation and not even having known anything about this guy. You heard a couple of people like, I love Marvin. I really like him. But he just said that he didn't know Charlie Kirk until he heard about his assassination. And yet he's there in the room making, how do you say, judgments about who he was as a human being. It's like, well, you can say whatever you want and you can have your own opinions. Like, I'm not saying you should have an opinion, but I'm not going to believe your opinion because you really didn't know the guy, you know?
You know, you've traveled the world a lot, and it doesn't matter where you go, you're going to meet vulgar, crude, angry, miserable people, and you
100%.
and you may be lucky enough to meet intelligent, classy people, you know, where they have the finer qualities of a person and less of the crude qualities. So, all this racial identity politics is just a form of low IQ communication because it's really just political in nature, you know, because the moment you cross that threshold and you go into violence, that's where freedom of speech is irrelevant. You've now violated the law, and this goes back to October 7th or any of these debates. You know, you can say the N word as much as you want. That's not punching somebody in the nose. Punching somebody in the nose is way worse than saying the N word.
Exactly. Because you're violating someone's agencies. And I am not saying that it's beautiful or that the N-word should be gone and said anytime, you know, like, I mean, but you choose to do that. Now, people judge, let society judge how they relate to you, because if you go around being a nasty person, nobody's gonna like you. So that is what prevents you from using the N-word. It shouldn't be because you're gonna get punched in the face, but it should be because there is a social price, you know, and yeah, if you do nasty things, people are not going to be want to be your friend. That's it.
Well, it's also intelligence. Like T. Robs, he says the N word every seventh word, where it's a Tourette glitch, and it's to his own detriment. That's what I don't understand. Is like that's who you are. Your words. So use your good words. Why would you want to use all these negative words? You know, a lot of it is time because, you know, I'm dealing with people who are helping me get petition signatures, and you realize there's a lot of things I'd like to say, but you realize that in the for the sake of time, and I think people appreciate this, is that you're using the most essential words in your communication with them, and you're not wasting their time with all your superfluous words.
Exactly. It's not about, for example, I can say, you're a fucking piece of shit. Should I be punished for that? Absolutely no. But then if we are in like a social audio environment where we are being bantery or whatever, if I go into a board meeting and I call my boss or the chairman a fucking piece of shit, what do you think will happen to me? I will get fired. So there are places you use your words accordingly, and you should use any resources you have at hand, whether that is communication or anything that you are using in order to help yourself navigate life so that you can get to the outcomes that you want. Now, if you just for the rebellion or whatever of saying and challenging others, you cause yourself not to be liked, then yeah, you're not entitled to say whatever you want. Now, of course, that doesn't justify violence. That doesn't justify a punch in the face, which is what the black community says. Like, oh, if you call me the N-word, you get a punch in the face. And it's like, no, dude, because you're violating the integrity of someone's physicality, you know? That is a crime.
Well,
so, yeah, people are too confused and too emotional. People just, let's say this very quickly, what I have realized, you know, like seeing the whole Nora thing, I don't know if you saw, she was like, I don't know, people sent me a couple of the tweets. She was mentioning me. She mentioned me like in 100 tweets on her profile. She was going
like new posts,
completely bananas. Huh?
New posts. Or the old,
Yeah,
or the old ones?
posts, like 100 posts. She was
No,
obsessed
new
with me.
ones.
She was just like,
Are you talking about new ones, or are you talking about the old ones when she had her first?
no, like while I was away, like in the last week or two.
Oh wow.
Like she's been completely deranged, like just mentioning me everywhere. And so it's like, okay, well, yeah, but she's clearly erratic. She clearly has mental issues. Well, she's not my problem. She should be someone else's problem. But looking at that, and then looking at what happened to Charlie Kirk, I'm like, yeah, we are dealing with people that have never been given the tools to deal with their own emotions. These people are incapable of having control of their thoughts, of their feelings, of their emotions, and of themselves. So they just act. They are like little erotic animals, that have been mistreated or have been in the wild since they were born. And you try them to put them in your living room and they're gonna trash everything out. Why? Because their brains have not been trained to be socialized. So yeah, I see them like that, like, and yeah, when people are not capable of controlling their own internal shit, this is what happens. And I don't want anything to do with people like that.
Well, I would say that if you can actually talk to anybody, and you do it from like a therapeutic perspective, and I mean, I do this all the time. I record it, but the point is, there's a good saying. It's to understand all is to forgive all. And so, more friendly, kindness, compassion. I know, I'm trying to get signatures. I could go to ghettos in the district, and get signatures, and I could see what real poverty and real low IQ is. At least they have this app, so they're at least technologically and in terms of communication far more intelligent than your average, ghetto cartoon watching person who's probably just looking at their phone, staring at TikTok aimlessly. At least people here are talking and therefore they're thinking, but it's the same thoughts over and over again for people here on this app. Diego would be a good example of somebody who claims he reads books but doesn't actually read books. There's many people who do this on this app. They've never advanced an inch over 5 years. It's still the same person talking today as it was 5 years ago. They've not educated themselves on anything. All they have done is repeat the same mantras over and over and over again. So that's why I say when you read a book, what you're really doing is chanting, mantra recitation, or meditation. So pick a good book and join my book club and read for 10 minutes, because Isa, coming to this app to repeat yourself and not read something new into the ether is pointless. It's just entertainment. That's why I film a show on YouTube called How to Waste Your Time Talking About Nothing. It is what it is. That's why I created this room, the ESL training room, for you. Because Andre, who amazingly, I've heard him talking to Elon Musk on X, and I'm just like, I can't believe that's fucking Andre. See, Andre's basically the Russian concrete. He says a lot, but he never says anything. Because it's not from a book. I don't want to hear the same repeated over and over again. I've heard the same people say the same things for 5 years. I record it. It's all there. I've listened to the same people say the same things over and over and over. Nothing new, nothing interesting. It's the same mantra. I'm trying to break that spell with new magic.
Yeah, and here you are every day recording the same bullshit.
You gotta understand, like, at this point, I'm a goddamn MD in psychology. Because from a therapeutic observational perspective, I've done more in the field of psychological research and communication research than just about anybody I've ever met. So, I took an MBA and I had a communications professor, and she gave us really great information. I mean, I gotta give it to her. She really explained how communication works in terms of like a circuit with feedback and resistance or friction, all these like ways to analyze the communication cycle. And then she started telling us about how bad her back hurt, and I was like, doctor, I was like, can I take a break? My back is starting to hurt. Everybody was like, oh, and I was trying to point out that telling us about your back pain is like it's all transference and suggestion. So I was watching this video about Pavlovian conditioning, and the power of suggestion or hypnosis. And just listening to what people say on this app is rather suggestive, and it's going into your brain, listening to all this stuff. So you have to choose what you want to listen to. So Issa, I'm going to give you 3 options to choose what you want to listen to, and you can leave at any time. Do you want to hear the Tanya?
I will leave right now because I need somebody ping me back into the room. Apparently something is happening, so I might need to go and shut it down.
Okay, sounds good. See you there.
I'll be back. Bye. What are you doing to my room?
How's it going? Nice to meet you. I'm not doing anything to your room.
Well, everybody left you here alone.
That's right, and I stayed.
Okay, so everybody say goodbye to the room.
Okay, that's been another Itty Bitty Titty Committee. Hope you enjoyed.
Humanity, understanding fucking social sciences now. It's just a different perspective.
Yeah, but Patty, just a quick question. If you, maybe start what institution your daughter attends. You mind sharing that? If you're comfortable, of course.
She goes to Penn.
Yeah, and Penn has one of the most
Alright,
illustrious
Chris, I'm going to
business
restart
schools
all
in the
my live
country.
streams and then
Are we correct about
read
that?
a book.
Does
I'm
anybody
going to do
know?
a book club
Well,
Saturday.
Wharton School of Business. I'm very familiar with the
Exactly, right.
Wharton School of Business. But here's the problem.
A very